Okay, FM 101.7.
Yenkodi nkomo na yemra onimonyafo Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwah. MP for Northton, minority spokesperson on foreign affairs. Yene ntwetwe enkomo. Onimonyafo Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwah me mo channel pay.
Oh, minya. Mejo so bibi abako.
Boko na usu
Nyame adom.
Adia ekoso ewo sub region ni. Guinea Bissau kakakra bi nanka Coup asi unrest wo wama hodo so Cote d'Ivoire de enhye da nyo sa Darfur you problem wo ho na anu ya Burkina Faso Coup asi wadaruma as a spokesperson on foreign affairs for the minority. Your thoughts on this, anything?
Yo, medase edikan mame chiati fonyana na menda mwasese mwaframe on this very, very important matter. Andra our parliament make a statement on the situation in the sub-region. Dear air no, as I say, yenyina deeply concerned. Dear Yehu and there is a resurgence of coup d'etats. Now, analysts, political scientists, historians, many watchers, now homogeneous the first wave and a second wave of coups, see 60s to 70s, and then second wave ending in the 90s. No, now, Africa, particularly West Africa, has embraced liberal democracy, and one can expect there will be total stability. Now, issues be about it to be resolved through the democratic processes or more power no or more change elections and sana or more more contest or more change the government of the day, but all those expectations that democratization wave started in the 1990s to, as it were, usher in a new era. No, it appears the hope of the 1990s return to multi-party democracy in the sub-region. No? It appears that hope has been diminished and evaporating. Osha the AC in 2021. The last time I see was sometime in 1999. In see that one calendar year, there have been 4 successful coups in Cedar. Osha.
One calendar year. Now successive coup 4. Ebin Cedar.
Yeah, been since 1999.
Since 1999. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Since 1999. Into UN Secretary General, I mean, we're describing the current situation as an epidemic of coups. Or say, the AC war, yes, sub-regional is an epidemic of coups because Mali had 2 successful coups in 2001. Then we had the case of Guinea, and then say Burkina Faso is on our heads, and then Guinea-Bissau, President Akasa, President Umaro Sisoko Embalo, on also Edia Tujase, now cabinet meeting, and there was clearly an attempted coup. They tried to round them up, but it has led to casualties. Soldiers on both sides and yeah, asem kitwa. It is clear, sir, as you say, no, we are seeing a contagion, some domino effect. AC or Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau was the latest, attempt, and there have been other attempts. We'll share what the analysts are saying, and if you pay close attention to even other countries, they're not sitting pretty because you see, sir, there are serious challenges with respect for the constitutional order. I extended on term limits. The African Center for Strategic Studies, study since 2015, 13 African countries temper with the term limits in their constitutions. Either say more actual constitution and they say they are now starting their first term after having stayed in power for decades. That is said, the Kosovo or Togo, you have Uganda, Cameroon, and all of that. Apart from the tinkering of the constitutions, we also have insurgencies taking place. Violent extremists are taking over.
Honorable, maybe, sir. Meaning, sir, or more common goal for staging those unrest coups in this idea, no. But you bet me and your baby are one common agenda, and that's a reason are running through all this coup d'etat.
Sir, one common agenda, no. I will bring it down to failed leadership. Failed leadership.
Failed leadership.
Failed leadership, yes. Failed leadership. The African leaders in charge of their various jurisdictions have to take the blame squarely. Because the Kosovo or Mali say the Malian government was totally helpless. Now a soldier for demanded better services. I mean, sometimes even food rations for almost salary. And yet they see the leadership, the political elite, living in opulence, or party for and family members. And then extremists were taking over their country. Virtually half of the country was taken over by these extremists. The Al Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, the ISIL reps in the Sahel, they were totally, overrunning the Malian territories. Over Burkina Faso, failed leadership. The relatively young President Kabore, had come in through a popular uprising. He was a democratic leader. Now, he was not paying attention to the needs of the people. Once again, they trigger the Burkina Faso coup was an attack on the soldiers of the Soum province. Now, more demanded, say even protective equipment. Just they were not asking for much. Life, bulletproof vests, good armory, food rations, and it's like their demands were not being met. The kind of urgency, the kind of importance that should have been attached. Now, the president was not taking their concern serious. It led to that massacre. About 50 of their colleagues, Burkinabe soldiers, terrorists, Echo Kuomo, was Sohun province, and that it would the coup leader now. He's citing that as the immediate trigger. Then, of course, there were other issues about, unemployment, economic hardships, and all of that, exacerbated by the extremists or take over. More than 60% of Burkina Faso was really in the hands of these rebels, these violent extremists. And it comes back to leadership. Guinea, the case of Guinea, President Alpha Conde, himself, or change the constitution, or increase the term, was going for a third term clearly, claimed to have won an election which was not credible. It wasn't free and fair. Very dubious election. Or cash or no, they were winning. All the observers, ECOWAS observers, EU observers, raised concerns about, first of all, even the so-called referendum to amend the Guinean constitution. It wasn't a credible referendum. And then elections, so were winning to become, a third-term president, was also not credible. And it comes back to leadership. Osha, the coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, for a long time, Guinea-Bissau has been considered a narco state. Drug lords or more smuggle drugs from Latin America to Europe. They always use Guinea-Bissau as a transit point. And for many years, more than a decade, the authorities have not risen up to the occasion to, as it were, demolish these drug cells, and drug lords are taking over. And of course, that is also exacerbated by growing unemployment, lack of opportunities for the youth, high crime. I mean, once who were drug lords, and a woman, you can expect they declare, of crime, high crime, and all of that, creation of arms. And say, Upeser may place a finger on one item, one cause, make us say failed leadership. Leadership and responsive. Leadership self-serving. Leadership when the citizens are crying out. So almost say, pay attention to this idea of but the leadership is intransigent. No one almost say this is what it leads to. I mean, as I said yesterday on the floor of the House, I'm a consummate Democrat. I do not believe in coups. As I said, you're welcoming and now you glorify. We shouldn't glorify coups. But it is important that we do a proper, sincere, honest analysis of coups are AC. Now, these coups will continue because they say, it's become fashionable once more. Osha Yabakosema, 1963, and Eyadema Tokufo of first coup. Then Ghana followed, 24 February 1966, Nigeria. Then it went all over. Osha ECOWAS countries, apart from Cape Verde, ECOWAS countries, all the 14 have had coups from Ghana, Nigeria, Gambia, Liberia, Sierra Leone, name them. No country is immune. No country can say, baby, I get drawn, and yet possible. There is, because share some of the factors which boil down to failed leadership, leadership that is not responsive to the needs of the people, unemployment, lack of opportunities, the closing of the democratic space, impunity. You can find elements of this in virtually every country. Local elections and yet credible. To say Mali say, parliamentary elections, about 13 seats now opposition are winning. Electoral Commission declare the seats for the ruling party. Those lack of credible elections, all fed into the anger of the people. And say when these coups happen, look at the popular support in those countries. Mali, a doma, a babonting, a jubilati, a hele coup, no. Guinea, the course, Kulida no Dumbuya, Wababe, like a celebrity all over the place. 101.7. Burkina Faso, see how the coups are being celebrated, all over the place. And it tells you, say, there's a certain disconnect. Democracy, and the democratic leaders, are not popular. They are not, as it were, delivering to meet the expectations, the aspirations of the people. In China, one of the proposals in my statement on the floor yesterday was an appeal to the current ECOWAS chair and president of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Who said, what ECOWAS does is say, Coup no siya na omo impose sanctions, and they descend heavily post facto. I mean, Coup ne si ewie no afena omo intervene ana omo impose sanctions, omo suspended their membership of the country from ECOWAS, closed borders, no travel opportunities. You can't use the financial system and all of that. But clearly, all those sanctions, it is not deterring anybody, because now or more this same approach and now more use it when Mali's coup happened, the first coup, second coup, same approach. It didn't stop Guinea from happening. Same approach, sanctions. It didn't stop Burkina Faso from happening. Same approach of ECOWAS and AU. It didn't stop Equatorial Guinea attempts now. Guinea-Bissau attempts now is here on the 1st of February. In the ECOWAS approach, ECOWAS response, and it is not deterring anybody. What some of us are proposing, and I was quite clear about that in my statement, sir, we shouldn't just look at the frequency of elections and now regime protection. Say, you're threatened if you don't release the president, if you don't return the country to multi-party democracy, this is what happens to you. Why can't we be preventive? Why can't we be preemptive? They may propose it as these countries should, the supranational organizations, ECOWAS, and their counterparts in the region, institute an independent, democratic, and economic assessment system. So independent appraisal, independent monitoring, as it's an independent neutral body to say some of our CSOs, African CSOs, CD4, Imani Africa 4, we have very reputable CSOs on the continent. Now, among your assessment, Mo Ibrahim Foundation for people like that who are interested in the governance arrangements of the continent and good governance, rule of law, tenets, and all of that. Bring them on board, commission them. Now, or more assessing countries. They'll be telling you in between elections, their AC, what's the governance record? Do you have opposition elements in jail? Are they responding to the unemployment scourge? instability now also demands of soldiers and all of that.
Okay.
So some independent assessment. Now regularly they present their report. The report is published. Now a guide when citizens even in those countries see ECOWAS, AU, they are concerned about the issues that matter to them, and they are talking to their leaders about those matters. Some kind of a peer review. Ubekaya, some time ago, President Thabo Mbeki, at the level of the African Union, or introduced BBA, he mooted the idea of the new partnership for Africa Development, NEPAC, where he talked about peer review. So AU leader, because at the time, the AU had the unfortunate nickname of a dictator's club, and he was seeking to see how the leaders of the AU and the OAU at the time will be more responsive to democratic principles. And a similar system is what we need in ECOWAS, where it's not about, the protocols are there, follow them, whether they are being followed or not, whether democracy is really working or not. We don't care. When leaders are extending the constitution, fidgeting with the constitution, we don't care. Because here, Kasa say, all around us, Togo, Ivory Coast. All of these reasons the coup makers have given, they exist, and it is similar.
But Obibekasa Ghana party, we've passed those stages whereby and Yema will be to me accumulate into coup d'etat.
You cannot say that. Complacent.
Because the idea make say Liman's time. Rollins say Ebesa ye coup 31st December 1981 no. Mekai say na Liman na what the budget akọ parliament. Ama parliament a rejected budget no. And no eye baako. Rollins say ankasa sabe ye coup in 1979 na aka 12 days. Ama ya to aba ya print your ballot papers bibia and no so osabe ye say coup no, and we all hailed him for staging the coup. Uba other so a uba hu sa na ma ne bebre ewom but obi say no de as a democracy no is embedded in our body politic.
You've be going beyond the veil, lifting the veneer. Yes, on the surface, you may want to argue that way, but it is only the person who is complacent who will say, "Oh, had I known," which is always at last. I mean, if we lift the veil, if we go beyond, the veneer. Now, who they kind the latest census are here. Unemployment is worsening. Anytime we have announcements for recruitment, the last time I made it a point to, go and see myself. Recruitment, LWAC. And I followed the queue. All the way queue from LWAC, Land Commission, in front of Ghana International School, all the way down, towards the Osu runabout. I mean, and this is those who were patient enough. You can imagine. So the others who just gave up because the queue was too long and they didn't think that they would have a chance. It was the same situation in Osu, in Kumasi, Koforidua, and the other regional capitals. We need to pay attention to that. It's a national security threat, which you're growing unemployment, with the census figures confirming. Ghana Statistical Service pointing to the fact that unemployment is getting worse. 2022 budget, Finance Minister Ankasa, he has admitted, say, the unemployment situation is getting out of control. In general, or no, or proposes you start. I have my own views whether you start is the solution, but we can have that discussion later. Then you also come to your elections. Our elections have become too violent. Sure, the see what I was so by election now you call it. I mean, just imagine, say, you see, you know, others also decided, say, they will also try to look for weapons and respond. Imagine what will have happened in Ayawaso. We haven't fully resolved the Short Commission report, you know, has not been implemented. Meaning, where Kasasi say, people are still harboring all kinds of feelings. Then you come to the national elections. When I say I am assured, as we speak, on killings now at court. So at least seven Ghanaians who were innocent Ghanaians. They were not holding weapons. They had not provoked anybody. Some of them very young teenagers. Their lives cut short. 7 million. Yes, you may want to engage in all the nice talk. Oh, Ghana oasis of peace, the stability, and yes, comparing to a lot of our neighbors. But the situation we have, is it the best? It clearly is not. Should you see after the election, January 7, election of speaker, invasion of parliament by soldiers, Minia. Just imagine what that could have sparked. Just imagine the invasion of parliament by the soldiers. Parliament is the citadel of democracy in every constitutional democracy. And yet, soldiers invaded parliament. Sure, after that, fights are also the disregard for standing orders for the constitution, matters degenerating into fisticuffs, and often people are looking at the final outcome in Tokwa AC, but I don't hear a lot of talk about the causative factors. Yes, I do not endorse fights in parliament. I don't think that we should get violent. It should be about brain work and not brawl. Young discussing issues, young debate issues. No, it should not get into violent breakouts. Now, what option do MPs have when a speaker, for example, a deputy speaker who knows he doesn't have a vote, a few days earlier on one kasa aka say, 101.7 when I'm in the chair, I don't have a vote, and then days later realizing say they don't have the numbers, the matter will be lost. No? He decides to leave the speaker's chair to go down and vote. I mean, what kind of banana republic conduct is that? And what options were available? Because now Yatunefo, the Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayeni, did all the constitutional law arguments, pointed out to him, said, it's not allowed. Don't do it. Don't you yourself, you're a senior lawyer. You have said it the previous day, say, only vote into a then assessor. When you bastardize the laws, when you trample on the legal jurisprudence, when there is clear, if you like, bastardization, of the system, where laws don't matter, impunity holds sway, things are not predictable. No, it creates the conditions. I will appeal, say, am I complacent? Let us not be complacent. We know that we have a lot of fault lines. The proliferation of small arms, I mean, look at and the Chronicle is reporting about contract killings at our Pram, and a tall list of people who have been killed. We know, sir, weapons are in the hands of people who have not registered it. Nobody knows where these weapons are coming from, and all of that. There's a certain toxicity, unemployment, proliferation of arms, killings during elections. Say, South for a whole community, Central Kofi, Akbafu, Likpe for Lolobi, Omun, a member of parliament. They are not represented. As we speak, this 8th parliament is a deformed parliament. That's how I call it. It's a deformed parliament. And yet parliament, we have the full complement. The golden principle says no taxation without representation. It is meaningless to the people of Sa. Omuni, a member of parliament, and yet they are paying taxes and they have no representation. Nobody is championing their needs, in the 8th parliament. And we are all watching. All of these things. So if you lift the veil and you go beyond just the nice talk and the flowery language, you realize that yes, ejuma wa as I have emphasized, coup is not the option, and that should not be glorified. It should not be encouraged. Instead of being complacent, instead of playing ostrich, burying our heads in the sun, young admit to say we can do better. This democracy, the Ghanaian democracy, can do better. I mean, if you have a situation, Minia, and I have been pursuing this matter for many months. Your presidential jet, president, on use jet, or say charter, no be charter. Your car, or say on tie. It's luxury jets and our charter $14,000 an hour. Now, come and account. Also, there be finance minister as well, defense minister as well, the latest was the national security minister.
Okay,
and I don't know of any country. I don't know of any country. Look, this is what leads to impunity. They say, "Muna mo ya town hall mo pese Ghana for NTMO." Now, omo accept E11. Why would they accept it? Why would you enjoy any sympathy when they have seen earlier taxes now? How you wasted it, profligacy, ostentation, extravagance. Now come and account to Parliament, which is the chamber of accountability. That is where checks and balances is practiced. You will not account. And Ghana is the only country. I have been researching on this matter. You name the cost of presidential travel. Ghana, and it's only 2021. Earlier years, now you name about Parliament. We know.
Minister, in appearing before Parliament, or say it's a national security issue. It
cannot be a national security issue. I mean, what is that? Minka said, your person, your home, why no, your pilot, no? Move to route, then or use it. Infant or monam, hotel, then a president or koda. And what are the security arrangements? Those are not the questions I'm asking for. In any case, companies now will charter aircraft from. They are on the open market. Jets now we use jets that are also available for other rich oligarchs to also charter. What is the national security concern? Just last week, our United Kingdom, foreign secretary, the foreign minister, Elizabeth Truss, biggest scandal at AC the ministry. The British people are so angry. Labour Party for Lib Dem, issue statements. Elizabeth Truss, the foreign minister, the foreign secretary, charter aircraft Airbus 321 to Australia on the staff instead of flying commercial, and spent what declare how much was spent £500,000, about £500,000. It's a big scandal. People are calling for her head. Okaya is all in all the newspapers, front page. Independent, The Guardian, The Sun, Mirror, all the media outlets. Big scandal. And the British people are offended. And these are the people who give us money, Minia, a wealthy nation, almost supporting. And they say they will not accept that. And she has apologized or say, oh, just once, but this is the only time I have done it. Now, many flight, or say he could not get a commercial flight. That is why she went to charter the Airbus 321. The irony is aircraft now, Elizabeth Truss called charter, is nowhere near the luxury in terms of ostentation, in terms of extravagance, the specs. It's nowhere near the ACJ 320 Neo. Our President Akufo-Addo Chataye, and now the LXDIO. Our President Akufo-Addo Chataye from the company Global Jet of Luxembourg. Nowhere near. Now, so the British people are so upset. When they say the last time you distributed textbooks in our public basic schools, no, it was British. 101.7. They gave us books to distribute 2016 and 2017. This is a country that supports us with aid, with budget support. Now, so high standards or more. They have even declared fully how much it costs. They are apologizing. Look at Prime Minister Nkasa, parties or when the others were asked to be under lockdown, not to visit families. They were sacrificing greatly. Now, no enemy staff, or more organizing parties, asking people to bring their own booths, in the gardens of Number 10. He has apologized at least thrice. And I've been reading the Hugh Gray report. You can see that the Prime Minister is under a lot of pressure on any MPs on the Conservative side. He should resign. Why other democracies survive in those Western nations? And it's a more high standards. They respect the views of the people. I mean, he levy debate to say Ghana. Obia radio station be a wire poll. I mean, over 90%. Independent think tanks, universities, Omunina polls. Obia say Yampe. It's the most unpopular policy measure. My constituency, town hall meeting, and we took a secret vote. It was 3-3-1 against the E11. Only 4 were in support of it. And when you have such an unpopular policy, what you do, you pull the brakes, and then you do further consultation. That's what President Rollins said.
Further consultation.
President Rollins said 1995 when he saw how unpopular VAT was. And the irony is that President Akufo-Addo, who is president today, lead Progressive Alliance for a year could demonstrate. When said President Rollins or withdraw policy or call Parliament and withdrew it, government withdrew it for further consultations for about 5 years. 2000 and by 5 years, so can you imagine? And that was somebody with a military antecedent that you say, he probably is not a Democrat or a human rights activist. All the accolades we like to heap on the current president. Where are his democratic credentials? When the people are so upset, so angry. And in the midst of all this, I come back to the president's own conduct. One, you are not tightening your belt. Burden sharing, I must say, you share burden. You are not part of it. Look at your conduct when it comes to chartering these jets. Share budget, Odiako, Office of Government Machinery, 3.1 billion. I ain't see that from 2.5 billion to 3.1 billion just within 1 year. You are not cutting your expenditure. OSHA contingency vote.
Okay, yeah, right up.
Contingency vote. When himself, the contingency vote has increased from 186 million to 933 billion. You check in the budget. Check
wow. Okay.
Almost 1 billion contingency votes. No, you know.
Where the appendix in one na?
Yes, appendix.
Okay.
Appendix. Page 252. That is the challenge we have, and we need to really engage in honest analysis. Now, look, the entire political class.
Okay, 101.7.
Constitution say there's a growing groundswell. Sir, we need to amend the constitution. We need a new constitution. OSHA, the labor movement, they are not comfortable with Article 71 arrangements. As even MPs, who we are under. Can't we have an equitable system? It will be seen as acceptable, as fair. So a new emoluments regime. We should be responding to all these things, Minya. We should be responding to all these things. Because, it becomes we versus them. The people think, sir, the leaders don't care about their needs. They are only there for themselves. If these sentiments crystallize now, that is what leads to the kind of situations Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, okay. Now the latest attempt, Guinea-Bissau. And it's going to continue. There are at least 3 countries. We have to pray. I mean, by the time this year will end, because it's
3 countries, any countries, baby?
In foreign relations, no, and appropriate, sir, not body. Because one say it can even create challenges between, our relations. That may affect your bilateral relations between Ghana and those countries. But all kind research report, all kind risk analysis, the intelligence briefings that are made available by various serious think tanks and experts now. Those 3 countries. And we need to make sure, sir, the African leaders, ECOWAS leaders, Omubeshia and the Awakra, Omuba.
Okay,
it shouldn't be about what sanctions, how we can tighten the sanctions. It should be about, even before these coups happen, and they shouldn't be happening, how can we prevent them? What preemptive steps? How can we advise ourselves as leaders to address, because clearly, there are fundamental issues that the people, because Usha Sena Coup's way popular, the people are hailing the leaders now, the coup leaders now. It shows that issues for us, there are clear concerns that have to be addressed. Finally, Minion, another matter is related to these schools. We have to be concerned about them. And he said, William said the international community cannot take a common position on these schools. We don't have universality. At the UN Security Council on the 12th of January, just last month, ECOWAS sanctions now Omodia to Mali. France and America promote a statement, drafted a statement, now UN Security Council issue, basically to endorse the sanctions to align with the ECOWAS position. When I say Russia and China vetoed it.
Okay.
Omo veto that statement, and they scuttled the whole agenda.
Okay.
And as we speak, Russia, Omo Mali, Russian troops, the Wagner group,
okay.
Omo Mali, China, and then there are mass demonstrations going on that France should leave Africa. France has become so unpopular in French West Africa.
Okay.
And all these geopolitics, and it means that if care is not taken, it's not clear what some of these countries are doing. They are fishing in troubled waters. Omona, Omo sponsor, Omona, Omo Boa, they are helping to stabilize coup regimes and all. It's a more complex and scary development. Because if you cannot be assured that the BAC Krana, the international community will rally, will be able together now or more condemn create, difficulties for the coup leaders, no, then we must be even more concerned, and we should be preaching prevention. How can democracy, which is sick, who can all the international governance,
okay, yeah, run up,
are confirming that democracy is sick? We should rise to address the fault lines, the deficiencies in liberal democracy, so that the people who are currently living under a lot of excruciating hardship and disillusionment, we can begin to give them hope.
Honorable Medasano paper for your insightful thoughts.
Yo, Mr. Medase.
Yes, that's a pa. Honorable Hon Okudzeto Ablakwah, MP for North Tongue, minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, and
Okay, FM 101.7.